Hi again, I'm Tikvah Wiener from the Idea Institute,
And I'm Tavi
and we are here doing again Between Two Bulletin Boards, which is short 5-minute PD.
Today we wanted to talk a little bit about time. It's definitely something that we're all thinking about, knowing that we are right now in the middle of the Yamim Noraim. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are in the rear view mirror, still in the midst of Sukkot. And there's so much about this time of year that really has us focus on the passage of time and the significance of time and how we use our time in the most important and meaningful and productive ways.
Yeah, that makes me think of something I read on Rabbi Sacks's website, or actually saw in an animated video, I think, where he references Stephen Covey, and he talks about the difference, of course, between urgent and important, and the fact that so much of our time gets sucked up by the urgent, and the important kind of gets left by the wayside. And that's so unfortunate, obviously, because if it weren't important, we wouldn't put it on that important list. And Rabbi Sacks talks about the fact that Shabbat is a time set aside for us to really get back to what's important: our families, ourselves, our connection to Hashem and spirituality. So our Jewish calendar actually makes time for that setting aside of the urgent to take care of the important.
I love that. I love that idea, and it's so relevant to schools. Schools are so often a place where the urgent, comes and interrupts and disrupts and supersedes those things that are important. We can have the entirety of our day can be taken over because a behavioral issue came up and it had to be addressed urgently, and whatever meetings or plans I had set out for today got completely knocked off target because the that was urgent, and whatever was not urgent, even though it was incredibly important, just took the back burner. And it often, sometimes we just kind of find ourselves in January looking back at the first half of the year, or even in June looking back at the full length of the year and wondering, like, how did we get here? Where did the time go where we had really intended to make significant headway on some of our important agenda items?
Yeah, and that's what's so impressive to me about the schools that we're working with, because they're really consciously and deliberately setting aside time for professional development, and not just that one-off day or, a couple of hours, but really intentionally thinking about, well, if we want to be in June looking back, to that successful initiative we implemented, then how do we set aside time each month for our teachers to create, not only decide on what they want to do, but really have time to let that idea breathe and develop, and to work with us to think about, like, what are the best ways to implement their ideas, because we know that really creativity and ideas need time to breathe. They need space, right? Like a Shabbat, right? They need a space to really grow and develop.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in our short amount of time here today, in between two bulletin boards, as we are still at the beginning of this new Jewish year and of this new school year, we're suggesting that if you've identified initiatives with your teaching team, with your leadership team, that you're hoping to get done over the course of the year, don't just kind of leave it on your calendar and figure out, like, somehow, somewhere we hope to attend, to those items. Really carve out the time in your calendars as sacred for you, as sacred for your staff, so that when you do look back on your calendar, whether it's in January or in June, you can really feel like, what, we made progress. We used the time that we had set aside to do the important work that we all wanted to do, and we didn't allow those items that were urgent to just knock us, off of our agendas, as often as it can. So we're wishing you good luck with that, and here to support you at any step along the way.